podcast where we empower your physical, social, spiritual, and economic health. Consume this content every week with positive energy and good intentions. Join me, Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, and my starlit queen, Sinclair, the health nerd, and share this with those you love. You are strong, you are beautiful, and you are ready to live your best life. Hey, we are back in the bank. Back in the bank. What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another amazing and impactful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we shall live our best life. Through the lens of messed up handshakes. What happened there?
I don't know. I think just the whole new environment, it just threw me off. Normally I say I'm sitting on this side. It's just yeah.
Where again, my name is Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, and as usual, I have the beautiful, the smiling, the queen herself. Please introduce yourself to the people.
What's up, everybody? My name is Sinclair, aka the health nerd. Here joining you on a Sunday afternoon in the sunny-ish San Francisco.
Yeah, we are here. It's been an action-packed weekend, and we are excited to bring y'all an action-packed podcast today. Action-packed? What did I say?
You said action-packed.
Action-packed? I hope it's not ashen. I hope everyone put some lotion on, some shea butter.
So they're not crusty?
No, hope no crusty folks on here. Action-packed podcast. But before we get into it, Queen, hit us with the did you know?
Well, did you know that your body burns a lot of its fat by releasing CO2 when you exhale? So a lot of us, we talk about burning fat all the time, but not everybody actually understands, including myself until I learned this, how you actually burn fat. So yes, you do burn a little bit by, through your sweat, a little bit through your urine, but a large portion of it is actually released when you exhale and your body's releasing CO2. And in addition to that, a lot of that happens while you're sleeping. So if you're trying to lose weight and you're skipping out on your sleep, you're cutting yourself short. So make sure you're getting your 6 to 8 hours, 3 sleep cycles, whatever works for you. But make sure you're not skipping out on that sleep so that you can make sure you're burning all the fat that you're trying to shave off. It's 2022. Let's go.
Let's go. There it is. That is the did you know for today. And it's always my responsibility to connect the did you know somehow, magically to what we're talking about today. And I feel like when we're talking about CO2, releasing toxins, burning fat, it does connect directly to releasing that responsibility or releasing your boss, right? And we're talking today about the movement of fire your boss, the movement of taking control of your own life, releasing those toxins, those toxic people, that toxic supervisor you may have, right? That's all fat and toxin that you can shed away from your lifestyle. We're going to talk to a group of gentlemen, group of men, group of kings that are leading the charge and making sure that other people have the motivation, the information, and the community to fire their boss. Queen, are you ready?
First of all, I like your segue there. You did a good job. Second of all, are you ready for some podcast?
All right, we're out. Let's see the starting five. Come on. Boom, wow, boom, wow, boom, wow. Oh, if you watch it, you see it. Hey, we got a whole starting five on here. How y'all living? We got a lot of people. So let me direct this question.
Right.
Let's go, Josiah. How you living? Feel free to ping pong that to anybody else on the squad.
Man, what's going on, family? It's beautiful to be back. I'm living well. You know what I'm saying? I'm alive in 2022. You know what I'm saying? It's the Zeta's Founders Day, so major shout out to all the Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. You know what I'm saying? We just passed up our Founders Day as well too, so shout out to the Sigmas. You know it. So I'm doing amazingly. I appreciate being back on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and popcorn it to Reese.
Oh man, what's going on? What's going on? How we feeling? How we doing, man? It's an honor to be on here. I'm excited. I'm ready to rock and roll, man. Thank y'all for having us, and yeah, man, let's get it going.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So we can kind of do the rest of the introductions with this first question, because what I love about what y'all are doing is y'all are doing it together. Y'all are doing it through the squad. I know we're gonna talk about your podcast later on, the Ivy League, but y'all talk a lot about a lot of sports. So I wanted to bring that energy kind of in here. So on the FYB team, when you're thinking about your position on the team, who's a player that maybe looks like your position, right? Or maybe just the position itself, safety, center, point guard, whatever it is. But like, what is it that you do on the FYB team, and how can you connect that to a athletic position? I'm gonna throw that to DT first, 'cause I see Michael Jordan in your background.
Man, that's crazy that you brought that up because as you brought that up, we still figuring out the ropes on, our actual roles in this because before we were just doing it, trying to be consistent, but now we're moving it to the next step and identifying roles. So each
Mm.
one of us, we're going to have our own roles. And I think right now, how we kind of just, as a bigger umbrella term, like for myself, I think I'm more like kind of on the GM coaching staff
Oh,
a little bit.
okay.
Or if I was a player, I'd be like a more like a Draymond. I'm not really an MVP type of player, but
Mm,
I'm gonna make sure the necessary things are taken care of as far as
mm,
protecting the brand, you know what I'm saying? Protecting the Ivy League, you know what I'm saying? More on the legal side of things, the business side of things, you know what I'm saying?
mm.
So I think that's kind of the role that I'm diving into is being a part of this team and part of this family. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, I like that. I like that. You said the GM Draymond. Right?
The
Look,
business side, you know what I'm saying? The business
yeah.
side, however you need to break it down,
Mm,
you know.
okay, I like that. How about you, Steve?
Yeah, man. I mean, I like what DT was touching on, man. As we're all breaking down roles, but for myself, I'm more of the offensive coordinator from the skybox behind the scenes. I'm more in charge of like the marketing of
Mm,
the brand. You know what I mean? Anything you see on social media that you see is posted, or from our Wise Word Wednesdays, trying to get people to join us, figuring out different marketing strategies to draw attention to the brand would be my role for FYB. And, like I said, from a sports perspective, think of it like a coordinator, someone who's up in the skybox who's calling down plays. I'm not necessarily next to everybody physically, but I'm operating behind the scenes, and you can kind of feel my presence or certain things I'm seeing from more of a broad perspective I can give and facilitate to my teammates or to the other coaches or anyone else. So that's the way I would define my role.
okay, groovy, groovy. Let's see, Reese, how you feeling? What role you playing? We got offensive coordinator. We got the GM.
I'm Draymond. I'm Draymond Reese. I'm Draymond. Whatever we need, whatever, whatever we need to make happen. If you need me to go out there get a bucket, I can get a bucket. You need me to go, be a defensive rebound, whatever. So the way I kind of like put that and kind of correlate that is, I'm down for whatever you ask me. If we got something that needs to be done, I'm like, all right, what we got to do, what you need me to do, when you need me to do it, how you need me to do it, and it's gonna get done. That's just kind of my role, and I think that's very important, on a
Mm,
team, especially being like it's not only good to know your role, but you got to accept your role 100%. That's the only
mm,
way it can really work. A lot of people they know their role, but if they don't accept it, then it's hard for you to excel and be great in it. So I just accept whatever role it is for whatever time, whatever thing, and then I just try to make it happen best way I can. Draymond Reeves.
and Draymond Reese. We might want to follow up with that accepting your role later on. That's a major key, and I don't want to pass that up. But Josiah, last but not least, your role in the squad.
Man, I would say I'm Steph Curry of it. You feel me? But like I don't say it in like I'm necessarily like the MVP Steph Curry. I would consider myself like the Steph Curry when KD came to the Warriors. You know what I'm saying? The Steph Curry where it's like, yeah, like I'm still the point guard. I kind of orchestrating things, but at the same time, like at any point, you feel me? I'm I'm willing to let Draymond Reeves take over the game. You know what I'm saying? Or Drake, Reeves can be KD for the night. You know what I'm saying? Or DT. So it's like, I don't, when I say Steph Curry, it's not like, I don't feel like this is my team, but I feel like, at any point, like, yeah, a lot of people may see me, when they think of FYB at times, or like when I do my motivational presentations, they may see me like physically, but at the same time, like, it's a team effort. Like without, a lot of people don't know, like when Steph Curry was by himself, we still had the top, Warriors still had the top pick, some of the top picks. That's how they got Klay Thompson. That's how they got Harrison Barnes. That's how they got Draymond. You know what I mean? And so, I'm nothing without my fellow Splash brothers, you know what I mean? And my fellow Warriors. So that's why, I say Steph Curry, not in the sense of like it's all about me or I'm the best player, but I just feel like I'm willing to, to give up a seat at any time to make sure, or to take a back seat, to make sure that the rest of the team can shine in the right places when they're winning. Because some days Steph Curry is off. You feel me? Some days Steph Curry not gonna hit them shots, and he needs other people. And a lot of people, and again, we're connecting this to sports. A lot of people don't understand the Warriors are great, not necessarily just because they have a lot of shooters, but because they pass the ball the best, because they play the best defense. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like for us as a team with FYB, as we're still, like DT said, figuring exactly what are we solely responsible for, we have no problem passing the ball to make sure that the right person who's available to do the right thing gets the job done.
Mm.
Love that.
Yeah, y'all can tell y'all from the Bay with Draymond, Steph.
Right.
No one said anyone from any other team. They were like, it's Warriors.
Right. That's it. So you mentioned FYB a few times, and we did introduce y'all as Fire Your Boss. I know we've had you on, Josiah, before, but for those of our audience members who have not been familiarized with y'all, please let us know, what is FYB? What is the movement? What are y'all about?
Yeah.
I could talk about it a lot, but I also want to make sure the team, is anybody else that want to talk about it before I jump in? You know what I mean?
You passed the rock early.
You got it, big
Do your
dog.
thing, Steph. Do your thing,
Steph. Yeah, I think what FYB, we're really talking about, developing people developing and allowing people to develop themselves as bosses. And when I talk about bosses, I don't necessarily mean, you have a company that you're running from a monetary perspective, but we're talking about the bosses of yourself. When you talk about fire your boss, a lot of us, we're raised with this mentality of like somebody else is in charge of my success, but ultimately the success starts with you. You are your own boss. You're in charge of, the things that you do. What you do as an individual is you create partners on an everyday basis. So when you go out there and you partner with a company, they're not your boss, they're your supervisor. They make sure that the decisions that you make are positively affecting the outcome of this particular corporation to meet the requirements that were agreed upon via a contract, and you're being compensated for that. But when you think of a boss, when you say if somebody's my boss, for me, I often, correlated having someone as a boss to, you being in prison, where it's like, yes, boss, I don't have a say so in what I do. I'm just taking orders and I have to follow. And if I don't, I'm going to be punished. You know what I mean? But we're encouraging people to be your own boss, to think for yourself, to think out of this necessity to only do one thing good forever, and that's it. You don't have any type of say so in anything else. And just really encouraging people to take over their life and their lifestyle, kind of like how, I love how y'all talk about, the health, and that's a part of being your boss right there. It starts with, first off, health is wealth. If you're able to change how you eat, then you'll change how you feel. If you change how you feel, then you'll change what you do, right? So, when we talk about encouraging people to be their own boss, that's what we mean, being the best version version of you and taking responsibility for the opportunity that you have to be successful.
Man, love that. I wanna see if anybody else has something that they wanted to add to that from their perspective, or what it meant for them to fire their boss, take control of their actions, and how that may have shifted their mindset. I see you, Steve.
Yeah. I mean, just to kind of tap into that and building off, what Demar said is just, I think sometimes when people see, FYB and they see the Wise Word Wednesdays, like I think a lot of people think, oh, they're a motivational speaking group, and I think that what we like to encourage is to show that like we're more than just a motivational speaking group. And he hit the nail right on the head when we talk about, you know, becoming the best version of yourself. That's really what, to me, what everyone's purpose in life is, you know what I'm saying? And what we're all trying to figure out is going on that journey to become the best version of ourselves, to become the best version of, to really step into our destiny for what God wants us to be, right? And who he's called us to be, right? And I believe that FYB is like, we're here to help you with that journey. I think a lot of the feedback that we get, from the podcast and from the Wise Word Wednesdays are just getting people to think about things that they've never maybe thought about before that can help improve themselves, becoming that boss of yourself. I think a lot of people, when they hear the podcast, they hear the topics, it's not just us kicking it on a podcast and just talking. Like us as homies, yeah, we have these organic conversations, but we saw it's important that these conversations are shared with people, in our community, for the people that look like us, because now we're allowing people to hear different conversations, to think like, man, like, I didn't expect you guys to have a conversation that was that organic, that really made me think about things from a perspective that I never even thought about, that helps that person take that back into their own life to help with their own self-development, their own self-growth, or maybe help improve their mental health. You know what I mean? So I just think that when I think of what FYB is, it's like, just like what, Josiah was saying, is that, we are helping people become the best version of themselves.
Yeah. And I want to go right back to you, Steve, for something. And then if someone else wants to chime in, feel free. But you said something about people didn't expect to hear this type of conversation from I think y'all just kicking it, or y'all on the podcast, right? You said how you're kind of breaking those expectations. Why? I'm not gonna say why people expect certain conversations. That's a whole nother thing. But can you talk about just breaking stereotypes or breaking people's expectations? And as you as a person, or y'all as FYB, what is it that you want people to expect? What is that new standard that you're creating for yourselves and for your community?
Yeah, I think sometimes when people see podcasts, especially with maybe people who might know us individually, they might think we're just going to be on here, joking around, cracking jokes, or maybe just having like guy talk or something like that. But we actually really came on here to break, like you said, breaking that stigma of actually having an organic conversation, about whether it's a current event or just something that we feel is important that people should know. I think that we've taken that step to be able to give people, from what I always feel like is a different perspective. My goal at every podcast is to be able to leave you with something, hopefully, that you weren't even thinking about, that can help you develop yourself. That, I didn't even think about this perspective over here. I never even took the time out to even think about that before. So I think that that's our goal in breaking that stigma, that, not every podcast is out here to just, talk about just relationship stuff or just talk about what's on social media. Like, there are a lot of people out here, especially African Americans, people that look like us, that are trying to do something positive to help positively impact our communities through our organic conversations as homies, as friends, or as people. So that's what I would say.
Rock with it.
Love it. So talked a lot about y'all working together, y'all starting this movement. What is something that people don't realize is difficult about that, especially as a group, as a team? Y'all have grown, right? What's something that people don't realize is difficult about starting a business or starting a movement? Defining your roles. That's something that y'all are actively doing. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things that people expect to be hard, and then there's some things where once you're in it, you're like, dang, this is a lot harder than I thought. Like, I did not expect it to be this difficult. What's something that has been a challenge for you all as a team or as individuals that people may not realize is a challenge of either starting a business or starting a movement like y'all?
You got a reason, I'll go.
The consistency.
Yeah.
The consistency. A lot of people don't understand how hard it is to be consistent when it comes to this. And it's different when you start in a business or you have, resources where you can put all of your time and effort in thing. But growing with growing and on top of that, to start something else, is easy, and
You're
back
breaking up,
consistency,
Reese.
make
Yeah.
that you do something every single day. What is it?
Yeah, you breaking up. Like I don't know if the internet's not working well.
Is it not working?
Yes, I think you better now, but it was choppy
All
at
right,
first.
DT, go ahead, bro. Is it still choppy?
No, it was better.
Is it still choppy?
But yeah,
No?
I was no.
Hey, DT, get your shots up, right? Go ahead.
Yep. All right. Yeah. For sure. So I was actually gonna say consistency. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, with anything that you do, you have to be consistent if you want to be successful. Consistency over time is what gets you results. A lot of times people have great ideas and you might be consistent for 3 months, 4 months or whatever, and you think you killing and you doing whatever it takes, but 4 months really ain't a long time. You can't expect to have $1 million business in 4 months. You know what I'm saying? And I think with us, the consistency, and then you got to try to work around four people's schedule and really try and prioritize. You know what I'm saying? And I think another thing is, as FYB, we're trying to provide resources for the community, right? And I don't think we had all the resources to just come out and with the dope podcast from the jump. Like, you know what I'm saying? We didn't have all the resources and we didn't know what it really was going to take. We just know we had an idea and we wanted to execute it, right? So we had to learn, trial and error. There was a lot of things that we did differently 2 years ago that we're doing now. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things we had to figure out on our own, literally do our own research. Hey man, how do we get this LLC? How do we get this trademark? How do we do that? We didn't have resources or people showing us how to do that. So we had to really, by the strength of us, just get it done, by any means necessary. And now that we're being more consistent, having regularly scheduled meetings, more consistent with the podcast, taking meeting notes, and making a foreseeable plan, it's a lot better for us and being efficient. You know what I'm saying? But I think the consistency and the prioritization is probably the two biggest things that people don't realize in order for it to be successful. And we haven't even seen the full fruits of our labor yet. You know what I'm saying? We still in the trenches right now. We still trying to understand and what is it going to really take for us to be successful and get to where we need to be. So I think consistency and prioritization are probably the two biggest things that I'll say that people don't really fully understand until you in the trenches.
Yeah. And I want to double back on you, DT, and you can, go ahead, Josiah.
Oh, no. If you're following up with DT, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I want to follow up on you. It was real slick. It was real sly. You were like, you can't build $1 million business in 4 months, which in my head, I was like, oh, that means you're trying to build $1 million business, right? So can you talk through, you don't got to give all your secrets, right? But what's maybe one additional key in addition to consistency where you're like, this is a strategy to get FYB to that $1 million marker?
You have to have a business plan. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you have to have a plan. You can't just have a short-term plan. You have to have a short-term plan and a long-term plan. And you have to be consistent along that entire road, though. You know what I'm saying? In order to make $1 million, you have to generate income. You have to be profitable. You can make $1 million, but what if you spend $1 million? You still back at zero. So you have to create a profitable business plan, something that's sustainable, something that can keep generating income. It's not just us talking. It's not just clothes. It's not just us featuring other people on our pod. It's bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to dabble into everything that we can and figure out what the best strength and what the best strategy and what the best plan is for us to be sustainable in the future, in the long term, to keep the money coming in, to keep providing resources, to keep being a voice.
Boom. Fire. I see you, GM. Go to work. I see you. Go ahead, Josiah. I know you had something.
Yeah, no, I would also just, say something that I think was, can be a little challenging. Can y'all hear me? My internet's cool.
It's
Everything's
good.
Okay. Yeah, one thing that I would say that's a little challenging is the fact that, we chose to specifically push positivity. And that in and of itself means that our success is going to be delayed because of that. I read a study a long time ago that said that us as human beings were 7 times more likely to share someone negative information or negative experiences that may have happened in our lives. And we're only 3 to 4 times more likely to share something if it's positively happened in our lives or in a positive experience. And so what that means is that, when we started to talk to people about firing your boss, about becoming entrepreneurs, about investing in yourself, and we chose to promote Wise Word Wednesdays every week, well, we know that we could have gotten a faster success rate if we would have posted fight videos, if we would have been down talking, Black people, or down talking, Black women, because that's popular. That's what a lot of people are doing to get, maybe success faster, and to get a pop or to get a following, But for us, we said, listen, that may be cool for now, but we're trying to do this for the long game. We're not just in it to get popular right now and have a nice and have everybody hate us 10 years later. What we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that people love what we're doing now. And eventually in 5, 10, 15 years, they're going to really respect the work that we've done. And we can live forever based on the fruits of our labor that we planted 15 years ago. So I would say that's been a challenge for us because we know that like every week we're putting out positive content, but it doesn't get the same type of attention as the negative content, and we know that consciously. We're making that decision intentionally and still saying, you know what though, that's okay. We're going to keep doing it every week. And so over time, kind of like DT was saying, when you have that plan over time, over a long period of time, again, when everybody's done posting fight videos, when that's not cool anymore, when talking about Black women is not in a negative sense is not cool anymore, when down talking your brother or snaking somebody else or rapping and all that stuff is not cool anymore for you to do. It may be cool for somebody else, but not cool for you to do. When they're tired of that, they're going to come back and say, you know what, this information here I can use for the rest of my life. There's always something to get. So I think that's also a challenge that we face as well too.
Yeah, that's a fact. I think we're in that challenge space too with posting health stuff or just Black history stuff. It's like, 5 views, 100 views, but it's like, dang, this other video got 1,000,000 views.
Right. Yeah, I like to, you got to sprinkle in the entertaining stuff. So I post like dance videos, and those always get lots of hits.
Mhm.
But I'm like, that's part of me too, so I don't mind sharing it. It's still part of my brand, but that isn't informational, right? And then I'll post like a health pic, and it'll get like 14 likes. I'm like, dang. But it doesn't matter, right? It's the information, getting it out there. That's my mission. So that's what I'm about. I'm willing to do the slow growth. But I actually wanted to go back to the consistency piece. Because I definitely agree that is one of the biggest challenges of starting a business and keeping a business. And I don't remember where I heard this from. I know we've talked about it on the podcast before, but a lot of when an industry kind of booms, so many years after, maybe 5 years after, there's going to be significantly less of those companies that actually survive. And, a lot of the successful companies, successful CEOs, when you ask them, like, what did you do to get so successful? Sometimes their answer is like, I just survived.
I didn't quit.
I did not quit. Like, I did not stop when everybody else took the barriers and said like, okay, we'll close up shop or whatever. This isn't working. This isn't worth it. I said, no, we're going to stick through the course. And I think another challenge, especially when you're starting out, is knowing when trying to be consistent, is knowing when to take something as a sign that maybe this isn't working and we need to pivot, versus no, you just need to keep going. And, eventually the views will come, the notoriety will come, the following will come. So what's some advice that you all have for people just starting out? And that when you're starting out, and I guess talking about social media, right? When you're starting out, you're not going to have 1 million followers. Everybody starts off as 0 followers. And when you're starting a business, you're not going to start off selling out of all your product, right? That all comes with time. But how do you differentiate when something is maybe a sign that maybe this isn't the way to do it and you need to pivot your business versus just stick through it, right? This is how everybody starts off and you just need to stick through it. What are some keys that you have for new folks starting a business on whether it's just to stick through it or like, okay, maybe it's time to rethink your strategy and maybe go another route because that's not working?
Mm-hmm.
I think what I would say, just to saying as far as like sticking with it, I think what goes hand in hand with consistency is dedication, and being dedicated to what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And when what I mean by that is just saying, I relate this back to sports. My godfather taught me is like dedication is doing things even when you don't feel like doing it. You know what I mean? Because it's easy to do something when you're motivated that day. You're trying to do this. You're trying to do that. What separates people who are going to be successful and the people who are not going to be successful are going to be the people who choose to do the things that they need to do to be successful when they don't feel like doing it. Because when you talk about running a business through, especially social media, like posting every day, like that's work. Like that's, to have to come up with a post every single day, like you have to like be dedicated to do that when you don't feel like doing it, because it takes time and energy and effort to come up with a caption, figure out what do you want to post that day, brainstorming the caption, coming up with your hashtag strategy for each post every single day. Like that takes time and energy. So it's what's going to separate the people who are going to be successful are going to be the people who do what they need to do even when they don't feel like doing it.
Yeah. Steve, we'll come back to you in a second for social media strategy. All right. So go ahead and marinate on something as the offensive coordinator. We want you to help people with their offensive, this plan for social media. I want to do a mic test for my man Reese over here, see if he's back and if he wants to get up any shots. I know you've been on the bench for a minute. So come on back in, Draymond. Come on. Oh, no.
Yeah. Or no?
Keep
Still
going.
choppy?
Let me see.
Yeah, but still choppy.
Still.
Yeah, it seemed like, can y'all hear me or am I choppy? Yeah, see,
we can hear you.
Hold on, take me out.
Pull me out, coach.
Is it choppy though?
It's a delay. So that's the thing. It's a delay right now. So you might want, if you want to get up some shots, turn off your camera and let's just do audio. Let's just do that. All right, just so you can get some good shots in, because I know you got some wisdom you want to share. So try turning off your camera and we'll just do audio for you, Reese. All right, while he's doing that, I got one more question for you, Steve. I'm still coming back to you for strategy, but this can be for anybody. But when you think about how FYB has matured, how have you matured as FYB matured, right? As you're writing your business plan, as you're getting your strategies, as you're trying to shift what people expect from a group of Black kings, how has that also made you mature or change throughout the years? I'll throw this to, let's go Josiah first, and then whoever wants to come on in, feel free.
So two things. So first, I do want to go back to the question that you asked about. Dang it, I just lost it.
Was it Sinclair's?
I think it was Sinclair's. I can't remember now. I just lost it. Dang it. But I was.
So Sinclair's question was on, how do you know when,
that's what it was.
If you should pivot or if you should just grind it out and stick to it. Go ahead, get your shots up, Steph.
There we go. Yeah. So I wanted to answer that one first before answering the new one that you had. So one way I would say is do you love it? Like do you genuinely love what you're doing? Because a lot of times what people don't know is like, if you love what you're doing, like you just you would do it for free. That's what you're supposed to be doing because you love it. You know what I mean? And so when you love something so much, it doesn't matter if it all comes crumbling down. You still love it. You're like, look, okay, well, maybe I'm not gonna be the $1 billion business, but that's okay. I can still make $50 here and there. I'm still gonna do it because I love it. You know what I'm saying? And I know I do it because I was doing it before I got paid. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't making any money. So for me, I would say, that's one of those signs where, but if you're trying to you're trying to figure out, do you need to call it quits or not? Is, do you genuinely love what you're doing? And if that's the case, then keep it going. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're only doing it for a profit, then you're gonna quit when it's not profitable anymore. But if you love what you're doing, then you're going to keep going, whether it's profitable or not. Just the way that you think about it may change, but you're still going to keep doing what you're doing. If you love to sew or knit, it doesn't matter if you sell all your products and they each are $100 each, or if you're just giving it to your nephews or your nieces or your grandchildren. You're still knitting. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to stop and say, I thought these products were going to all make me millionaires, so now I'm never going to touch the knitting again. No, you're going to still pick up that equipment and get to work. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I would say if you really love what you're doing, then it doesn't matter if your company fails. Okay, maybe you may not be meant for business. That doesn't mean you're not meant for knitting. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would say. Do you genuinely love it? Now, in regards to how have you matured, I think this is something that I personally have matured with, is really not putting my unrealistic expectations on other people, especially on my teammates. I think that for me, I tend to think everybody thinks the way I think about what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to realize that other people have different lives. Just because I'm available from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., it doesn't mean that Reese is available. It doesn't mean that DT is available. It doesn't mean that Steve is available. I had to learn to accept that other people have priorities and things that they're put into their lives that are very important to them. And I can't just put this unrealistic expectation that, you should be doing this amount of work at this time for, every day, because that's not real. And even if that is real for me, that doesn't mean it's going to be real for every single person. If Draymond goes up and shoots 33s in a game, he's terrible. He's terrible. That's not his game. You know what I'm saying? But Steph can go shoot 33s and everybody be like, well, he had a good game. You know what I mean? It's Steph Curry. You know what I'm saying? So understanding that, like, I can't put what I'm able to do, I can't put that expectation on anybody else because it's unrealistic. You know what I'm saying? I have to allow people to do what they do best when they're available to do it based on their priorities. And what we do is we partner, and I say, okay, knowing that you're available from 7 to 10 p.m. to work on something, then that's the expectation that we have agreed that you're going to set. And it's not fair for me to say, well, you should be doing it from 4 to 7. No. That's not what they're good at. That's not even the time. They said I'm only available 1 hour a day, not 3 hours. Sorry, not 3 hours. So again, just learning to accept people and not putting my unrealistic expectations on other people I would say that's a way that I've been able to mature since starting FYB.
Yeah, that's a heavy bar, a bar that I'm learning currently. Why are you laughing, Queen? What's going on here? What's going on here? Actively learning as our team grows, as the momentum starts picking up, and it's like I can see the potential, and I'm just like, all right, I'm not gonna get into it, but the Queen knows what I'm talking about. Josiah, I feel you. Reese, let's see if you back. You could talk about the maturity piece or any other of the questions that you just like. Ooh, I really wanted to answer that, but technology was not messing with you.
Yo. We good. There we go. See, I did that on purpose. That was my segue. that was my segue. Nah, but again, back on the consistency part of it is being able to make sure that you're doing something every day. You got to show up every single day. And a lot of people don't understand that 1 or 2 days off could mean 2 to 3 years off when it comes to success. You know what I'm saying? Like taking time off, or having another thing that may happen is when you start something up and you do see a little success, a lot of people start slacking. You know, a lot of people they'll have something, they'll do something and it does well, and now it's time to celebrate. When
Yeah.
it's okay to say, you know what, that was a good job, but a lot of times championship teams, winning formulas, winning organizations, after they do something great, they celebrate for a second, then it's back to work. Then we got to get back to work, because just because people congratulated us on this one, that don't mean they're gonna congratulate us on the next one, especially if we slack off, if the quality's not the same. So being consistent, that's something I had to learn myself, was like, you know, you have a good day, or you have a good week, or you even have a good couple months. And then I'm like, all right, man, now we finna go blow it. We finna go do this. We finna go do that. And then next thing you know, you back where you started, or even worse off,
Mm,
because you can't get that time back. You can't get that energy back.
mm,
So yeah, man, the consistency, and then on the maturity part of, well, I like what D was saying, what Joe Spider was saying, as far as like learning that everybody's different. I can't expect you to go about this the same way that I go about it. A
mm.
team full of Draymonds isn't a good team. Like, because it's just, you know what I mean? So you have to have all these different pieces and all these different personalities to make it work. That, you know, it's complementary. That's the whole point of a team. So yeah, just learning and being coachable, and also knowing when to coach, is that's one of the things that come with maturity. Not being like, oh well, he's, because you got to know when to get on your people. You got to know when you got to hold each other accountable as well.
Mm,
That's a part of maturity, saying, hey, you didn't do this and you were supposed to. And then on the other side, it's another part of maturity where, instead of getting defensive or getting upset and arguing, you say, you know what, I was supposed to do that. I didn't do it. Next time I'm going to take care of it. So it's for a group of grown men to come together and do this the way we've been doing it. It's not easy. And
mm.
especially in African American communities, it's not talked about much. People talk about doing a lot of things together, but they rarely talk about creating businesses and keeping
Mm.
businesses going. So yeah, man, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. I got my shots up.
There you go. Well done. Welcome back to the squad. Welcome back to the game. DT, anything you got to add on that, as far as just maturity of, as you're growing this business? How have you also kind of grown alongside it?
I think for me, I think just a lot of stuff changed. Job, marriage, home. A lot of things have changed. So I
Marriage.
had to put,
Yeah, shout
yeah.
out to that marriage real quick. Hold up now. Come on. Yes.
So with all that being set in stone, like my priorities had to change. You know what I'm saying? I went from, you know, playing in a game, 4 or 5 days a week to, okay, now I got to take some time because I got a wife, so I got to go, I got to handle business. Okay, well, shoot, on the flip side too, hey man, let's get this ball rolling with FYB. We got a plan now. We being more consistent, so I think just me growing up, graduating college and things in my life starting to change, like my priorities had to change. I think that was the biggest thing for me, which in turn turned in being consistent in specific areas, not just spending a little time here and a little time there. Now I'm more focused on my priorities. You know what I'm saying? And I want to piggyback on something that Reed said about, like, you can't take days off. I think a lot of people don't understand the impact that taking a day off can do to you and whatever your goals are, right? So for instance, if you wanted to make sure you do something every single day, 7 days a week, if you do something the first 2 days, but you don't do it the third day, you don't just pick off where you left off at, right? You
Mm,
actually lose a day. So now you're back at one instead of being at two, right? So the more days you lose, it compounds negatively. But the more days you keep being consistent, it compounds positively. So I think that's something that people got to understand. The days that you take off, you actually lose a day. You don't pick off where you left off at. You lose forward progress. You know what I'm saying? So that's something to keep in mind too.
Yeah, that was a major bar again. Man, I feel like there's marriage questions I want to ask. So well, this is good. It's good having this good, I think, mixed group on here. So I'm gonna take a sharp pivot, DT, just because you brought up marriage, because I want to ask you what are some things that you expected in marriage that were alongside. It's like, oh, I expected this, and this is how it is, versus something where it's like, I really wasn't expecting that. That came left field. And then after DT goes, I want to go to Steve to kind of just maybe piggyback a little bit on that. Like your friend getting married, how does that change friendship dynamics? I feel like that's something that I know we didn't talk too much about, like just growing up. Like, what's it like when your friend gets married? How does the friendship grow, mature, change, shift, that like that? So I'm gonna go DT then to Steve.
Man, so I think I think the character wise, nothing was surprising, obviously, right? Because
Mm,
I knew who I was marrying. We did the marriage counseling, all that. You know what I'm saying? So I came with a clear conscience of who I was marrying, obviously. But I think for us, we actually didn't even live together until we got married. So
mm.
that was like a big. It wasn't. It's not even bad. You know what I'm saying? But it was a lot different. So yeah, it's just way different, right? Just living with somebody else and then understanding my obligation to make sure I'm spending enough time there, because when we didn't live together, it's like, okay, boom, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go do that on my own time. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? But now that I can't just be leaving the wife at home by herself. You know what I'm saying? You either coming with me or I'm just gonna pass up on this game, or I'm gonna pass up on going to this vintage fair. I'm gonna pass up going out with the homies or something like that. I'm gonna just stay home. I'm not missing out on nothing really, right? You know what I'm saying? So I think just adapting and prioritizing time with the wife, whether she's coming with me, if it's something that I want to do, or going with her when it's something that she wants to do, or just staying at home with her. So I think that was the biggest thing. But as a character, I don't think nothing was surprising to me after we got married. But just the expectations of knowing when and when not to do something or go somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I
yeah,
think that was probably the biggest thing for me.
solid. Steve, you got something?
Yeah, man. I would say having a friend that got married. I mean, you definitely watch like the shift in their life as well. You know what I mean? Because we go all from like hanging out together, as friends, and like me and DT have known each other for some years. When I moved from the Bay Area to here, he was one of the first people I met.
Mm,
So we've been friends through that journey to watch him kind of go from us like kicking it, or we all vacation and have a good time somewhere, to where now you're watching him create an environment where someone is his top priority. You know what I mean? How he had to change himself to make that work. You know what I mean? So I think that was like something interesting, and the things that I was able to learn that maybe I could take from him, just as far as like he talked about being, the obligation. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really have the time to come over here and go kick it because I have an obligation to my wife. You know what I mean? I need to be here to spend that time with her, to handle all my responsibilities in the home. So different things like that. I think it was very interesting, and it was actually really like a pleasure to watch, someone grow on that journey to where they're married and they're sharing their life in someone else's space. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't something bad where it's like, oh, what's up with DT? He acted kind of different since he started. Like, nah, it's like it was organic. You know
mm,
what I mean? Like, you watch someone's life shift into a completely different space, which is a dope journey to be able to see. You know what I mean? And the one thing that I really would take from DT that he always talks about, and even in our talks as homies, he talked about when you're trying to get married, the biggest misconception is that it's 50-50. And the
mm,
number one thing he tells people is it's never 50-50, it's 100-100. You
mm.
both have to be all in if you're trying to get married. That's the number one thing I've definitely taken from DT and watching his journey to being now being in a union, being married with his wife, is that knowing if you're going to take that step, you have to be 100-100. So it's just like I appreciated that, and it was that's the pleasure in watching that journey with someone like shift their life into that space.
Wow, love that. So, anyone else on here almost ready to go 100 100? And anyone else thinking about it? No.
If they are, they about to announce it here on this podcast.
Are you thinking about it? It's a question. You ain't got to say
breaking news.
You ain't got to propose virtually. I'm just asking. No. All right, we go blow the whistle on that one. Foul
on the play.
Oh man.
I had a question. I wanted to go, sorry, pivoting from the marriage, but it kind of does go, it really does actually go with the marriage conversation. But when you're working as a team, as a union, whether this is a marriage, whether this is a partnership, whether it's a friendship or whatever, and you're deciding on roles. Again, this can be roles in your marriage, this can be roles in your team. And you all talked about that's something that you're actively working on right now is identifying your roles. How do you take into account people's personalities? So, right, as a team, as a marriage, you get to learn each other very well and, strengths and areas for improvement, we'll call them. But how do you take that and knowing how folks are, their personalities, how they react in stressful situations? Like, how do you take all of that and kind of compose that into someone's role? How do you kind of account for that in assigning someone their role?
Let's go. Who you want to go first? Oh, Reese coming back. Let's go.
Let's go, Reese.
I think the role should be kind of I think it should already be in the realm of their personality. I don't think you try to put people in situations or in roles that just don't fit them, because you almost putting them in a sense like you putting them in a bad spot, because you're taking a person that may not be well in something and saying, all right, just do it anyway. And that can cause lack of effort, that can cause lack of results. And again, like when I was talking about accepting your role, it's hard to accept a role that you don't think is for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's hard to say, you know what? All right, it's hard to buy into a system you don't believe in, or a thing that you think, especially if you look at somebody right next to you and you say, you know what? I think this is better fit for this person. So why aren't they doing it? You know what I mean? So when it comes to roles, and I think you kind of got to figure out who's who. And the good thing about us, man, we've all known each other decade. You know what I mean? Like, so I know who I'm dealing with. I know who I'm, when the role comes in, I can already picture who it's supposed to go to without even thinking. Cause I know my people, I know who I'm dealing with. And so, and it's certain things that, put it like this. It may be 8 things for us to do, but 3 of those things, and in a perfect world, everybody would do 2 things. DT would do 2, Steve would do 2, D would do 2, and I would do 2, and that's 8. But it may be 3 or 4 things that I'm really good at. And it may be one of those things that D is just not his thing. So instead of saying, you know what, well, we all gonna just divide it up by 2, and however it break down is how it break down. Nah, I'm gonna do these 4. And then D, since you got this one thing, make sure you put your 100% in that one thing. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Or Steve, since you got that, that's what teams are all about. Steph Curry could easily say, man, I'm scoring all the points, man. Come on. But that's his role. That's his. So, and he accepts it. So yeah, I think that's the key, is knowing who you're dealing with and having people that's willing to be in their role all the time.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. And anyone got something they want to add to that one?
Yeah, I'll add something real quick. My fault, Reese. My shit was cutting out while you was talking at the beginning, so I missed your first part. But I think, like Reese was saying, though, understanding what people's strengths are. What are they naturally good at? Because naturally they're going to be good at it, right? So you want to find the roles that people naturally best fit in, man. And I think I'm not saying you obviously want to get out your comfort zone to grow, but if one person is clearly better than somebody else in a certain role, why not put the person who's good in that role, right? Now, if all of us are equally good at something, then it doesn't matter who does it. If all of us are equally weak at something, it doesn't matter who does it. But try and figure out who has what strengths, put those in those roles, and start to fill the other roles out as they are needed. You know what I'm saying? So putting people in their naturally good roles first and understanding who you're dealing with, I think are the two of the bigger points to understand and how to define your role. But you're going to be a lot more efficient if you're putting people in roles that they're naturally good at from the jump and then figuring out everything after that. So that's all I got to piggyback on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I would want to add, to the end of that too is just I think what I learned, especially being a part of the fraternity, is watching how my leadership grew in that, and then I was able to translate it over into this, and it's really when you talk about how to deal with different personalities, right? Because we can conduct business in a room with you have a lot of different personalities, right? And sometimes with certain people, I was a lot of just someone not getting something done. I'm thinking this I'm finna, you know what I'm saying? Like, because they not getting something done. That was the way I used to respond a lot, but I realized that, what, with certain people, that's maybe what they respond to and they get stuff done. But there's other people where no matter how bad, the mistake is, you just be like, hey man, like A, B, C, and D, X, Y, and Z. And they get a lot done. You know what I mean? That's just being able to take the time out to figure out the different personalities and understanding that different personalities and different people respond to different styles of leadership. You know what I mean? Or different type of forms of communication. So I was kind of able to take that from the frat and apply it to this. And that's like where I grew in my leadership and how I grew in business a lot is knowing how to respond to different personalities.
Yeah. The kind of thing that's reigning in my mind, and I see you, Josiah, is equity versus equality, right? But before I dive into it, I'm gonna throw it to Josiah just to make sure I'm not stealing any consciousness that you might be thinking about, and then I can wrap it up. But go ahead, and I'll come back.
Honestly, man, I'm about to use that as a wise word, equity versus equality. I'm not gonna lie to you. But one thing I would say is, and I know Reeves touched on this a little bit, is we were blessed that we were friends for a long time before we started this. And I think that a lot of times when people are working with business, especially if you're starting out your business, you want to get, people get whoever.
Oh, did he cut out on everybody? Anyone else? He did. Okay.
Dang, that was a bar coming.
I
felt
know it was coming. The internet wasn't even ready for that bar. It was coming.
Reese
Okay.
too.
Reese
He literally broke the internet.
literally broke the internet. All right. Well, I'm gonna start talking a little bit on the equity. Oh, here we go. Josiah's back. Try it again.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry about that. I guess my internet went out a little bit, but so people tend to get, who when you're starting out a business, you're looking for roles to be filled, and so you're saying this person is good at this, so I'm going to have them be a part of my team. This person is good at that, so I'm going to have them be a part of my team. But if you don't genuinely know who that person is and how to communicate with that person, how can y'all actually have any type of cohesiveness? If you don't know that, then you putting them into that role. Yes, they're good at being the vice president, but maybe they're not good at being your vice president. So you have to really get to know people prior to placing them in a role. Even if they're $1 million company person, if they come over and they don't work well with you, if you don't have that positive synergy, then your company's not going to be successful because you didn't take the time to get to know this person as a business. This is why a lot of companies that have very high turnover, they do that because they think, oh, just because this person was good at sales, he can be a good manager. It's not true. That's not true. They were good at sales, and so they need to stay in sales. That doesn't mean that they can manage other people. So I just wanted to say that little nugget. But go back to your equity versus equality, because that was fire.
Oh, appreciate the lob all the way back.
Yeah.
But this kind of goes back to the thing that Reese said and the nugget from just DT's marriage, the fact that this is how I felt growing up, that marriage was 50-50, even when it came down to money. Like how I grew up in the household, like it was split right down the middle, 50-50, separate bank accounts. And it's like, I'm paying for this, I'm paying for that. And getting into my own marriage and learning like, no, that's not the best way to do it. Like, let's have our unified account. Let's pay for whatever you can pay for. And the equity piece came down to, not sure if this was Steve or Reese who said it, but you're good at great things, Sinclair, right? You're great at great things. I'm great at different great things. So we shouldn't be trying to split all tasks directly down the middle for our marriage or for the business, because that's not equitable, right? That's equal. We both have the same load, but it's not going to give us the best experience. Prime example, I'm gonna put you on bougie blast for a second. All right, bougie blast. Prime example, back in the day, we used to cook almost even, right? And I cooked some Alfredo, fellas. You know what I'm saying? I did my thing. It was some nice seafood, homemade Alfredo. Hold on. Oh, it's my story. Hold on. I was cooking it. I was doing my thing, right? And I gave it to her. I sat her down, you know, whipped it up, and she took the first bite. And she said, is this store-bought jar Alfredo?
So bad.
Is this jar Alfredo? And I was like, yeah, that's how else you make Alfredo. She was like, I can't eat this. I cannot eat this. And we literally did not eat that Alfredo. And that wasn't the last time I ever cooked, but that was the last time that I cooked with any type of consistency. Apparently you can make Alfredo from scratch, you know, some butter, some Parmesan cheese, a little bit of cream. I now know the recipe after some years. But when I was growing up, you know, jar Alfredo, Prego, whatever it is, was good. That was quality. But getting into the marriage and learning kind of, you know, her beautiful, amazing, melanated, slightly bougie taste buds. Now it's like, okay, you're gonna cook because we know the quality is gonna be way higher because you are literally better at cooking and you are almost a professional chef, and I will do the cleaning. Right. So now it's equitable to where we're doing what we're semi good at. I don't know if I'm good at cleaning, but I'm willing to clean. Right. So I love that nugget, whether it's in a business or it's in a marriage. It's not about putting in equal effort. It's not about putting in equal tasks. It's about doing what you're best at and putting in what the team needs and make it a equitable relationship rather than an equal relationship.
I think the other thing, I think the other thing to consider too is that it changes. It's not stagnant.
Yeah.
Does that mean? Okay. It's not stagnant, right? It's going to be at this point in time, it makes sense for me to cook more. But there might be a point in time, I don't know, when I'm carrying children or whatever, where I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm not cooking. So this is you, or we gonna order out or whatever it is. And you know, the load sharing is always gonna be shifting depending on what the situation is. Finances, that also changes, right? Depending on what job, what income we got coming in. I may be able to carry this. Okay, well, now I'm not, I quit my job. So now we got to rearrange some things. So there's always things you always have to do, reassess the situation and figure out, okay, at this point in time, with this current situation, how are we going to, you know, share the load? How are we going to create equity within our marriage and within what we have to do so that we get what needs to be accomplished within the household. So I think that's another thing to keep in mind, is that it's always going to be stagnant and it's going to need reassessing. Just because it is this way, it doesn't mean it's going to be that way every day for the rest of your lives, for the rest of the marriage. It always is going to need some reassessing.
Facts.
Ooh, you dropped some fire. Woo.
So this is the first time we're with Fire Your Boss. And if you're just joining us, we are with _Fire Your Boss on Instagram. Definitely follow them. Check out the Ivy League podcast, which we're about to talk about in a second. But definitely tap into the positive energy and the wise energy. But this is the first time we're talking to FYB after you FYB'd.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely fired my boss. That's for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out. You know, that's some dope stuff. Thank you. Love it. So I want to get into the Ask Declare segment really quickly. Ask Declare is an opportunity for our guests, any of y'all, to ask a question of us, whether it's about the marriage and love journey, about the business journey, or the health journey. So I'm going to pass the ball over to y'all court to get into the Ask Declare. Oh, Josiah got one off the top.
He said, I have it.
Yeah, now I know. Can you just talk about, how important the consistency has been for you all? And I'm not just talking about the consistency as far as what people see, but the consistency as far as what people haven't seen. I know that you all have had, some success with the Play Black Wall Street, the board game. I remember seeing you post, I think it was Master P got a chance to look at it and whatnot and things like that. And a lot of people see that it's like, yo, yeah, this is dope. Go ahead, right? And I kind of equate that to like the championship, right? You winning the championship and everybody's celebrating the success that you had. But what they don't know is how many different times you had to go to different events where other people were at, where you had to present the Play Black Wall Street, the board game, where maybe that those people weren't popular, maybe those people weren't famous, but you still had to invest in that. So can you just talk about the importance of the consistency behind the camera and behind the microphone as opposed to being in front of it, and how that's helped you all?
Oh yeah. So I got two board game examples just off the top, and then Queen, feel free to come on in and shoot your shot too. But for the first one is we were in an incubator program when we were trying to get the game off the ground, right? And this was, just board, like, again, ground level. It's just an idea at this point, and we were the only Black team in the first phase. We were the only Black team to go on to the second phase, and we were the only team that was making something specifically for the Black community. Josiah, every single week when we had to present the idea in front of mostly older white men and a few kind of Indian or Asian folks as well, the number one question was, does the game have to be called Black Wall Street? Right. So when we're talking about consistency, having to go back every single week to a room full of people who don't know the history of Black Wall Street, to a room full of people who don't care about the Black community, and to fight for just the name of the idea. And I cannot tell you how much money we've lost just because we wouldn't change the name. Right. And that's, I think, just ground level consistency is how true are you to the vision that you have? Right? How unwavering are you with the dreams and your character that you have, to where you can say no to a check, or you can say no to an opportunity, you can say no to a mentorship just because of a name of something, or because they want you to post the fight videos, but you're like, no, like that's not in our character, that's not in our brand. But they're like, we'll give you $20,000 if you post the, and it's like, no, you even got to stay consistent with your character. So that's number one. Number two, the first season of Dreamcatchers was sponsored by, quote unquote, sponsored by Black Wall Street, the board game. So I was traveling to Atlanta, LA, parts of the Inland Empire, like literally going around the nation on basically my own dime, because it was sponsored by our own company. And then when we would get there and interview people, I would put the game, set it up in the background. They're like, what is this game? And I was like, oh, it's Black Wall Street, the board game. She's like, what is that? So be able to explain that. But that got the game in the hands of some people starting off. And this was back in 2018, the first edition of the game. And it also got it on YouTube, and it got that kind of consistency on YouTube a little bit as well. So I would say, yeah, that consistency is paramount, but it gets difficult when maybe you're putting up your own money, or when people are dangling a check in front of you, and it's like, ooh, if you just take this slight pivot, we got you. And you have to just really stay down and stay true to what your vision and what your character is. Queen, you got anything on consistency?
Yeah, I think the addition I have would be the podcast as a great example, right? This is episode 94.
94.
Right?
Oh,
94.
in here. Come
so
on.
We've been doing this for 2 years, and being very transparent here, we've talked about sponsorship, and pretty much every time we talk about sponsorship is Black Wall Street, the board game, which you all know is our own company, right? So we do this. We don't yet have sponsors. That is something we are working towards. But we do this because, as you were talking about, Josiah, earlier, like, we do this because we would be doing this anyways, right? And so, yes, we do hope that eventually we can make a living off of this, and we can get some sponsorships, right, with companies that align with our message,
that aren't ours.
that we don't own. Yes, we hope that that is in our future, and we are working towards that, and making our strategy, our business strategy with our team. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
At the beginning and every quarter is like, hey, how can we position ourselves to start making some money with this podcast, right? But I don't think the average person, when they think about starting something, thinks like, I'm going to be 100 episodes or more in before I actually see some fruit from the labor of this project or this business or whatever. And so I think that it's very important to, like you said, find something that you love and that you would be doing regardless. Because if we were in this for the money, we would have quit this a long time ago. We would have quit this on episode 9, right? And we were like, dang, this is all hard. This ain't no money in podcasting, which is not true, right? But you have to put your stake in the game. You have to grow. You have to be consistent. You have to grow your audience. You have to grow your listeners. You have to find your strategy, right? You have to do all of these things that only comes with time and consistency. So I think that that's been one way that we've made sure to, one, just make this something that is fun and something that fits with our lifestyle. Again, this is stuff that we would be doing anyways. This is information that we want to put out to the community and to folks anyways. So why not make it part of our business and part of something that can eventually, again, support our financial goals and bring us some bacon, if you will. So yeah, I think that that's something to keep in mind, is you have to do something that you love and that you will be okay doing for a while, because you don't know how long it's going to take, right, for the fruit to come. So you have to choose to do something that you can do for the love of it and for the impact that you're making, rather than the result of, or the fruit or the money that is going to come from it.
Oh yeah. And that was turkey bacon or tempeh bacon, in case y'all are wondering.
No pork.
Yeah, no swine over there. Oh, cool. Any other Ask Declare questions before we start talking about Ivy League? We good.
I'm a pivot a little bit to the relationship side of it. You know what I'm saying? I see y'all, y'all got y'all connection, and just by watching how y'all interact, you can tell it's real. You know what I'm saying? You can tell it's real. You can tell you guys are like intertwined and locked in, right? When did y'all know that y'all were the ones for each other? Can y'all kind of just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I'll dive in first, Queen. Do your thing. I'm gonna say two quick moments. First moment, I would say when we first met, right? So we met in 2011. We both went to Davis, and y'all know how y'all know how when you scoping it out, right? You with your fellas, it was me, it was Daniel, it was Jacob, Boobay. Like we were all just like looking out, like, okay, this is what college is about to look like. This is what the girls looking like. All right, it's looking good. And I was from jump. I was like, boom, right there, that one. Yep, I'm talking to that one. No one else. Jacob, stop. No, Jacob, stop. That. I'm gonna talk to that one. It was just literally just like looking at her, watching her. Like it was just a vibe that I got that I don't know how to describe. And then we got together in an icebreaker where they were like, oh, get up and meet somebody or do bingo, find someone who lived in the IE, who dances, is an engineering major, XYZ. So she got up, she was looking lost, like, oh, who's gonna be my partner? I don't know. And I stood up, I was like, I'm gonna be your partner. Come here, girl.
Come here, girl.
Come here, girl. So that was number one, just like looking at her. Number two, and that there's a few emotional moments, but I want to highlight. I'll highlight the emotional moment. I was gonna go the funny route, but I think truthfully the one that happened was when I lost my cousin freshman year of college. Yes, Queen, thank you. My cousin got shot freshman year of college, and it was like right before Thanksgiving. Didn't have money to go down because I had already paid for the ticket for Thanksgiving. So I was like, and I was broke in college, so I couldn't go back. So yeah, just getting that phone call and then literally not knowing where to go. And at this point, we weren't together. This was Thanksgiving, so we weren't together. We were just friends, but we lived in the same dorm building. So I literally just like walked out of my dorm, went to her room, knocked on the door, and we didn't say any words. I just walked in, gave her a hug, cried my thug tears real quick. Still no words being said at all. She didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. We hugged for like maybe 2 minutes, and I just left. It was like that was literally all that happened. I feel like in that moment, like a month later, we finally started going out. But I feel like that was one of the moments where I was like, all right, she can be my rock, right? If I need somebody, if I am going through my trials and ups and downs in life, no words, like she'll be there for me to support me.
Oh,
Thanks, man.
got you. For me, I don't know like a specific. Now I do know one that is coming to mind, and it was it was actually the first time that you said I love you, but it was something that triggered in my mind afterwards that I didn't even realize. So we were sitting in one of the conference rooms, whatever, in the dorms, and so we got together on December 23rd. And this was sometime after that. And I was sitting there talking, and I was like, da, 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 and I was like, oh, wow. I didn't realize, like, for the rest of our lives, like, we're going to be able to celebrate our anniversary the day before the Christmas Eve. It's like Christmas Eve. Like, oh, that's so cute. And then he looked at me and he goes, I love you. And I was like, aw. But in my mind, it was like, I didn't even realize that I just said for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even put that together in my mind because it felt so natural. And we had only known each other for a couple months at that point. Yeah. So the fact that I'm thinking about the rest of my life with this man after a couple of months really did mean something. And I didn't even like that. That was something that I like reflected on later. I'm like, oh, wow, that was so cute. Because I feel like the I love you kind of like overshadowed that, and that was our first time exchanging those words to each other, which was obviously very, very special, a special moment. But as I was reflecting, I'm an introvert, so I'll be reflecting on everything I said and did at the end of the day. So I was like, oh, did you really say for the rest of your lives? Like, wow, you really said that? Okay, shoot, he must be the one. Like, this is crazy after a couple months. Like, dang. So that was definitely one of the moments where I was like, well, here we are. This is it. This is the start.
Love it. Good question, Reese. I see you. Come on now. I see you. Okay. I don't know how to possibly pivot back to Ivy League podcast after that. I usually try to do my darnest. I try to do my darnest, right? But but I think something that we did talk about in this conversation was just doing stuff that you love, right? Whether it's doing stuff that you love, and specifically with the people that you love, right? Your friends, your brothers, your family, right there. And I think one of the things that y'all, do together on a consistent basis is the podcast. So can we talk a little bit about the Ivy League podcast, how that got started, and what are the topics that y'all are really trying to tackle and cover in the podcast? And Steve, I didn't forget about you for social media. That's going to be the last thing right there, because I know people are waiting for it, right? But Ivy League podcast, what are some, like just the vibe that y'all are going for that? I'll go to go ahead, Josiah. I see you.
I think for the podcast, really, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. We always had podcast conversations prior to starting the podcast. I think that we just kind of all said, hey, listen, we think other people need to hear these important conversations. I mean, we've talked about a lot of stuff from gender to Black community to minorities to education to this is a conversation we've had prior to starting the podcast. And I think we was just like, there's so many other people who needs to hear, young Black men who are trying to be successful, who have an elevated and educated mindset, who are having these in-depth conversations. People need to know that this is happening. And I am hoping that people can have some input as well, too, in some of the things that we say. So eventually we was just all like, yo, let's do it. Like, let's just, put our monies together and get this equipment. And I'm not going to lie, we didn't know anything about podcast equipment when we did it. So we was ordering stuff from Amazon and sending it back because it was the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? Like we sent it back a couple of times, different things like, dang, this mic don't go with this, equalizer. So we got to send, all of that stuff. And so we really just wanted to make sure that we had those conversations for other people to see that intellectual Black men, young Black men, are thinking on a higher level. Now, we have had a variety of different topics. We've talked about relationships. We've talked about sports, of course. We've talked about we've talked about just a variety, businesses and things like that. And so it really just kind of depends on what the vibe is like for us, And that's one the beautiful thing for us is that we don't allow what's going on in society to just dictate what we talk about. And I think you all have that same thing, having a podcast about health. Well, if there's people, Antonio Brown just walked off the field, with no shirt on, that doesn't matter. You're still going to talk about health. You're going to talk about what specifically works for health. And I think we have that same perspective as far as what we as the Ivy League, what we want to bring to the table. We're always going to, don't get me wrong, there are times where we can utilize what's going on to help build on top of that. But we just wanted to make sure we have these conversations as intellectuals. So that's just what I wanted to put out there. I don't know if anybody else has anything else they wanted to add.
Yeah, I mean, I can jump in there. I mean, just building off what Joe Spider was saying. Like literally, we've been having these conversations for years. Only thing we're doing is recording the conversations we would be having if nobody was around. And I think I talked about that earlier when we just talked about like helping people become the best version of themselves. We believe that the podcast is just another element of us doing that. You know what I mean? We've had conversations about relationships or mental health, and I think we do try to target things like that a little bit more in those topics because as a community, Black people, we don't talk about it enough. Yeah. Like we need to have conversations like this and to make it aware to people of what's available out there to them or why it's important. Or what happens a lot, and especially through our Wise Word Wednesdays, is someone else figures out that I'm not alone, that there's other people who feel this way too, or that struggle with this too. And I think the podcast is a big part of that, where people go, hey, like, I didn't know that Steve had experienced that, or that Steve had felt that way, or that, Josiah felt this way, or that DT had this experience. I had that same experience. And now we're able to provide context from someone from their perspective that could possibly impact somebody else's life. So I think it tackles a lot of different elements, but I just think it's just organic conversations between intellectual Black men being recorded. But for us, it's so easy for us to talk about these things because we've been doing it as just as friends for years, literally for years. So
love it. And I just noticed we recording the longest TH4 podcast in history. I love it. This gonna be broken up into part 1, part 2. Let's go. Shots. But I wanted to go over, because I know we talked about a little bit the podcast. Why Word Wednesdays have been mentioned. So if somebody can talk a little bit about what is Wise Word Wednesdays, if this is their first time hearing about it, and what are the other kind of pillars or arms sectors of FYB that people don't know about. I don't know if there's I think DT said something about some fashion earlier, but what are the other arms and tentacles that y'all got growing or that are already here?
Hey, Reese, you go talk about the Wise Word Wednesdays, and I'll jump into the clothing.
You see the way my man's technology is set up. You might have to do both.
All right, so I'll go into no, D. I want D to do the Wise. D or Reese to do the Wise Word Wednesdays. I want them to do that, and I'll go into the close.
Morris, you ready?
My bad, my internet clicked out. I didn't hear anything. What happened?
Yeah, so I said I wanted D or Reese to talk about the Wise Word Wednesdays, and I want to talk about the close.
I've been talking a lot, so I'm gonna let Reese go.
Okay.
Reese is back. Go ahead, Reese.
So I mean, Wise Word Wednesdays is just something, it I feel like on social media, on the internet, you have a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? And you have enough people talking about fight videos, you have enough shade room, you have enough um things putting spotlight on, negativity. And so when Joe Spider came up with the idea, when he came to us about it, it was like, man, we need to balance it out. We need a balance. We need a difference. We need to show something. And at first, we making the Wise Word Wednesdays, and we're doing it. We're doing it for social media, but we also doing it for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We want to promote positivity. We want to, you know, that's what we represent. But once it started taking kind of a life of its own, and that's why it's so important to make sure you love it, because yeah, it's cool that we get more views, we get more people involved, but with that comes more responsibility. It comes more consistency. It comes more. So as far as Wise Word Wednesdays, just basis of it is taking the day, taking the time to just say, hey, today we're gonna talk about something positive. Today we're gonna do something, or we're gonna say something that may motivate you, that may help you, that may, push you and give you some positive energy, because people go through many different things throughout their day, and you got 6 other days where, it may be hectic, it may be hard, it may be this, but come here and watch this 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute video, and hopefully we can give you that energy to get through another six. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of what the basis of Wise Word Wednesdays is. And now that we're, getting more attention, getting more people paying attention, we're kind of elevating and kind of revamping it. But for right now, we just want to keep it to, man, every Wednesday, come check us out, come get some positivity, come get some love. And it's going to be all different people from, you know, our goal one day is to have every every person from any walk of life do one Wise Word Wednesday. That's our goal, because anybody, and like the key to that, and what we're trying to push is that no matter where you from, no matter what you look like, we all go through some sort of the same things. So yeah, that's kind of Wise Word Wednesdays. I can go on and on about it, but I'm gonna let DT touch on the other part.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a dope one, man. That's kind of how we started getting into podcasting too. That was a segue. Wise Word Wednesdays was like a staple into us speaking positively. And what a lot of people don't know is it led our brother Demars to, being a champion for a public speaker in Sacramento, and open up the door for him. You know what I'm saying? That's another big thing that a lot of people don't even know. Like, he is technically speaking professionally at different events and things. You know what I'm saying? All because of Wise Word Wednesdays, man. So that's dope. But one of the things we wanted to do also, like, all of us are all into clothes. So we've had a couple hat drops, clothing drops, you know what I'm saying? And FYB has transformed. I'm not even going to go into the history, but what we foresee with these clothing drops is that, like, for example, the Justice tees, we took the Justice tees, sold those. What a lot of people don't know is we created a scholarship from some of the proceeds there. And the goal is to create dope clothes of the highest quality that people can rock. But what they're also doing is providing a scholarship to a minority, somebody who's getting ready to go to college, somebody who's already into college. You know what I'm saying? And that we want to grow the brand, with the podcast, Wise World Wednesdays, and clothing, because people can contribute and give back to the community as well. So we'll take these clothing drops, which are going to be dope clothes, and from those profits, we'll be able to generate scholarships and give back to the community. $1,000, 500, 2,000, 10,000, whatever it is, we're going to be able to create something for somebody else that they can benefit from. You know what I'm saying? So I can't give away all the secrets, but that's the ideas that we have. And those are the things that we are doing and that we have done. You know what I'm saying? So generating income to give back into the community, man.
Love it. Love it. I love that social entrepreneurship, right? As
Mhm.
y'all make more money, y'all give back more money and put people in different and better positions. Love it. You were about to talk about it, right? The history of FYB. And if you feel comfortable, I think it's a good business lesson for folks to know kind of the history of FYB, what the original brand was, and how y'all pivoted that brand, right? Kind of shifted it to kind of be similar, but kind of appeal to a different audience or a wider audience. So can you talk a little bit about the if you're okay with it, the original FYB, what it was, what it stood for, and then why you may have made that decision to pivot?
I guess I'll kind of talk about this. For us, I think we started off with FYB. It was forever yanking bands. And really it was kind of exactly what it sounds like. It was just a bunch of young brothers coming together saying, what we trying to do? We trying to get some money. You know what I'm saying? We try to get some money. And throughout, and don't get me wrong, we were making money. We were selling hats. That's when these hats that Steve and I are rocking, those, when we created those, and that we were moving hats and making a profit. But I think that when we realized how far we can actually go, with the idea of what we want to do, not necessarily what the name is, but what the idea, we said, can we really sell Forever Yanking Bands to a corporation? Can we take Forever Yanking Bands to, we know we can take it to a high school and kids will love it. We know we can take it to a middle school, kids will love it. But can we take it to a college? Can we take it inside a corporate office and say, listen, we're trying to help teach you how to be successful? And Forever Yanking Bands just doesn't flow the same as Fire Your Boss. Now, there are people who are like, who came up to me, was like, dang, so you want to fire your boss? Like, what I'm saying? Like, and I have to tell them, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, your goal should not be to work for somebody else forever. Your goal should be to work for yourself. And you can partner with other people for as long as you need to partner with them. So, we came up, when we kept talking about different things, we were talking about just having bands and things like that. But ultimately, we knew that, like, what we were trying to teach people was more than just get money. We were trying to teach people a way to be self-sufficient, a way to understand how powerful you are as an individual. The fact that you have the power to determine how successful you're going to be in 5, 10, 15 years. I talk about this a lot, and I think, Steve has mentioned this as well on our podcast as well, that we're not playing a right now
Game. We're playing forever. That's what you about to say? Yeah, I picked that up. Uh-oh. So I really wanted to bring that up, and if he comes back, he'll be able to finish that thought. But because I feel like there's young men, young women, just
everyone can you hear me? My
there we
check.
go. We can hear you back. All right, you were saying you're not just playing for right now. We can hear you. You ready to jump back in? Not yet. Okay. Let me know. Just give me the little think thumbs up, and I'll throw it right back to you.
Yes.
All right, DT, you good over there? Cool. Steve, you good? Okay. So I wanted to bring back up just the concept of having your original team, your original squad, right? Your FYB team. And I think there's groups of friends out there that they got their crew, right? Their friends that they maybe get into trouble with right now, or their group that they always go to parties with, their group that they make t-shirts together. And I love the fact that y'all made that slight pivot to legitimize the business, right? That slight pivot to be like, all right, this is what we're doing, but how can we take this past just our friendship? How can we put this into corporations, into colleges, into schools? And I love that mindset, because that's something that we kind of also did with TH4. TH4 is something that, you know, us in the squad we had during college as well, right? All the homies were, you know, putting up TH4. You can come through the house, get your haircut. We had our social events. You can come get food. It was a whole vibe. And as we were leaving college, we were like, how can we still keep the brand and the feel of TH4, but grow it with us? So that's where True Health Forever comes into play, where it's still TH4, but now living our best life as adults looks a little bit different than what living our best life in college was like, right? But it's still the same goal. We're trying to live our best life. It just shifted. And I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of friends that have goals together. They just haven't determined or sat down and have that maybe slightly awkward conversation of what are we really doing, right? With this friendship group, where do we see ourselves in 10 years, and how can we come together and legitimize what we're doing to get us to that destination? So I want to kind of end with Steve giving us some strategies on social media, because I feel like no matter what business you're in, whether it's a podcasting business, a health business, clothing, motivational speaking, literally any brand that you're building, you need some type of content strategy, right? So can you talk through a little bit either the current or just tips that you have for people that are trying to figure out, how do I promote my brand? How do I create? How do I get more followers? What's your strategy or your takeaways, Steve?
Yeah, you know, just being transparent, it's still something that I'm ongoing to like learn myself, being in this position. But what I have learned is, you know, sticking to the key things, you know, the consistency, you know, making sure number one that you're posting every day or as consistent as you can be. And then also learning what is your hashtag strategy going to be to figure out, you know, which is a way that you can draw people to see the content that you have on your social media page. So that's just being able to do your research on different hashtags that you might want to associate with your brand. Even if it is, you know, FYB, we want to say motivational speaking. We do hashtag motivational speaking. You can research that and look at other words that are related to that word that might have more likes or views that are associated to that word that will allow you to be able to draw the content to your page. You know, and just having something laid out for you every single day that you can post to ultimately start getting more eyes on there. Because what Instagram specifically tries to do is, if they can see that they can profit off of your business, then that's going to be a way for them to say, you know, whether it's through advertisements, anything that's going to be able to push your business out there. So once Instagram, the real ultimate goal is to have Instagram look at your business as something that they can profit off of, because that's what's going to allow more people to be able to get, you know, eyes or footwork to your brand.
Yeah. That's a good nugget right there, right? One, make sure you're using strategic hashtags, but I like the follow that you said. Like, Instagram is a business, YouTube is a business, Twitter is a business. So the more that they perceive that they can make money off of you, unfortunately, the more, you know, eyes they're going to put on you, or the more money they may be able to pay you through, like YouTube, where you get maybe the ads and all that good stuff. So good stuff right there. All right, so we're gonna go ahead. I feel like we're gonna need a round two, or if we're invited to the Ivy League, we can continue this conversation over there. But this has been arguably, if not for sure, the most holistic conversation podcast episode we've had, right? We've talked about marriage and Black love, talked about friendship, we talked about college, we've talked about just expectations of people, teamwork, equity, equality, like literally, I think we've hit every pillar that we could have hit as far as True Health Forever goes. So we appreciate you fellas for coming in, shooting those shots and dropping that wisdom. Can we do one last round of like, you know, some brief wise words from everybody as you're parting, something that you really want to make sure our listeners get from either you as an individual, or something that you really want them to get from you as FYB? We'll start off with Josiah over there. Hopefully you're good to go. No, we'll shift it over to DT over there. Hopefully you're good to go.
Yep. So I'm gonna go with my normal slogan, man. Keep it simple. A goal without a plan is just a wish, man. I'm gonna keep it at that.
Nice.
There it is. Create that plan. He said have a business plan, right? As the GM, he's responsible for making sure the FYB has a business plan. So get your plan together. Steve, what you got for us?
Yeah, appreciate y'all just for having us, man. Before I leave, obviously we do like to shout out the Black-owned brand. So of course you see I'm rocking, the FYB, one of the originals. I'm also, if y'all can see, I got on this. It's a Black-owned sporting clothes brand called Actively Black. I have a whole sweatsuit on. You can't see it, but I forget the dude's name, but he's a former NBA player. And he happens to own this brand. A lot of known players like Steph Curry, Draymond, all of them all support his brand. So I definitely want to shout this one out. It's called Actively Black. I just want to make sure that I'm just leaving everybody with a nugget. Dedication. We talked about that. What's going to separate you from being successful or unsuccessful is doing the things that you need to do to be successful, even when you don't feel like doing it.
Dedication. Love it. Again, this is the Fire Your Boss team on Instagram. It is _Fire Your Boss. Go ahead, give them the follow. Follow the hashtag Why Word Wednesdays and tap into the positivity. All right. Appreciate y'all. We're going to do a little bit of updates on our side. If Josiah or Reese come back, I'll see them waving and we'll add them to see if they want to give some updates. But we'll do some. Oh, Reese, you ready?
Yeah. What's the what I miss?
Yeah, we're good. We're doing parting wisdom, right? So as our listeners are wrapping up this episode, this record-breaking episode right here, go ahead and leave them with a piece of wisdom.
One thing I can leave, the people with is, man, make sure that when you have a plan, you willing to execute that plan, even when you're tired, even when it's not fun, even when people are telling you that you should switch, change, whatever it is. A dream deferred is still a dream. Make sure that everybody and everything around you is either in unison, complementary, or out of your way, because everybody doesn't have to be on your same type of time, but they also shouldn't be taking up or blocking the time that you need to create your thing. You know what I'm saying? And also, especially, this is something that just me personally, when you are creating a life that you've never seen or that you've never had, you have to do things that don't exist yet. You know what I'm saying? So, and be okay with being the first to do a lot of things, because depending on what realm you in, depending on where you going, it's gonna be lonely. It's gonna be lonely, and you got to be okay with being the only person that believes and understands what you're trying to do. That's all I got, man. I can go all day with it, but that's all I got. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all. Much love, for real.
Much love. Love it. Stay dedicated. Again, go follow _FYB. Much love to the Kings. Queen, what you got for us? Updates. I know it's been a good week, I think, for us. Go ahead. Let them know a little something.
I don't know if there's something specific you're thinking that I'm probably going to forget, but yes, we have launched our new weight loss program, Queen to Queen. So if weight loss is one of your 2022 goals, I'm your gal. We're going to help you figure out exactly what you need to be eating and not eating, how you need to be moving, how you need to be reducing your stress, how you need to be sleeping. It is a very holistic program. And yes, so when we also have a free webinar where you can learn about the 5 things that every woman should know about weight loss. So that is this Wednesday at 5 p.m. PST. You can go to my Instagram, the Health Nerd with 3 E's, or you can go to True Health Forever. And we have the information there on where to register to sign up for the webinar. If you're interested in the coaching program, you can go to queen2queencoaching.com.
There it is. One more time. Queen, the number 2, queencoaching.com to go ahead and get your health empowered. Boom. There it is. Thank you, King Jair. The thing that you got your next health client.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Yes, I did.
You got another health client in here. Go ahead, do your thing, Queen. I see you. For us, this was a beautiful and powerful week. We came up to Sacramento / San Francisco. We were supporting the Rare X fashion show that went through yesterday. It didn't go the way it was supposed to go in our heads, but it was still a good vibe, good event. For those that don't know, Rare X, 10% of proceeds do go to foster youth. We got some Rare on right there. I see Reeves. Josiah has some Rare on as well, to Believe in Yourself. So it is a family affair for sure. So definitely go to therarex.com to get your stuff. What else did we do? Oh, we recorded a semi-documentary for Rare X, just kind of following the vision and the dream. Dreamcatchers season 1, episode 4 was Markel, and at that time, Rare X was just an idea. He was graduating from college, wondering what he should do next. So it was a dope follow-up to come back 2 years later, and he has a brand that's really taken off and exploded within those 2 years. So it's dope to kind of see that vision full circle. We also visited a bookstore in Oak Park, Sacramento called Underground Books, and they've been one of the bookstores to purchase Black Wall Street, the board game. So it was dope to just pull up on them, surprise them, be like, hey, what's up? The owner of the bookstore was there as well, Miss Johnson. So got to just connect with her and just, show our appreciation for them purchasing the board game and showing love. If you haven't been, if you're in Sacramento, go to 40 Acres, right, in Oak Park. Go to Fixin's Restaurant, go to Underground Books. It's a dope way to circulate those Black dollars. Or if you're looking to support more Black businesses, especially in February, and you're in Sacramento, go ahead and head to 40 Acres in Oak Park. All right, that's all we do for today. Queen, it's been a good one. FYB, we appreciate y'all 100%. Thanks for coming through and shooting with us. Please stay healthy, stay wealthy over there, Kings. And of course, we appreciate y'all for tuning in to another amazing and impactful episode of the True Health Forever podcast, where we shall live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game.
I'm Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd.
We hope y'all stay healthy. We hope y'all stay mentally wealthy. And of course, we hope y'all stay true.
Thank you for tuning in to the True Health Forever podcast. We hope you learned something valuable that you can take and implement into your life. Now, we've all heard that sharing is caring, and this podcast is no exception. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, a family member, a coworker, a stranger walking down the street, anybody who you think can level up from this message. As always, we appreciate your support, and we'll talk to you next week. Be well.